Welcome to the dark side of BEASTwriter. I'm your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be breaking down what's going on with the Raiders secondary, how that's coming together as practice unfolds, the news, notes, and quotes from today's festivities, and what to look forward to moving on as we prepare for Week 4 against the Denver Broncos. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel. Just be sure to turn on and flip on the bell notifications so you get notified when I go live or when I update content. Also want to give a big shout out to my man, Harry Ruiz. If you guys are living here in Vegas, you guys heard me on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. this morning. Not this morning. It was at 1 p.m. And so I was on around 1:10, 1:15 p.m. and we did talked about what to look forward to, some things to kind of look for as we prepare for the Denver Broncos. This is no laughing matter in terms of what the Denver Broncos bring to the table. Obviously, when you go back and you read different transcripts from Coach McDaniels, you really have to take in and absorb like a sponge what he says. And again, these divisional games are very, very crucial. They almost count as double, right? And that's what Coach McDaniel says, because within the division, you have to win those divisional games in order to make the playoffs, right? Now, yes, there's those wild card teams, but ultimately the goal is to win the division, right? That's your number one goal. Yes, there's high aspirations of having the number 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, whatever the case may be, but the end goal is to first win the division, right? And so when you look at teams that started 0-3, right? And my guy, What's Up G, who is in here and part of the dark side of BEASTwriter family. By the way, thank you, Jeff, for tuning in today and helping mod this and keeping this channel clean. But when the team starts 0-3, what are the chances that that team makes the playoffs, right? And it's slim to none, right? It's slim to none. And my man, What's Up G, says right here, no team has ever made the playoffs starting 0-3. And should we be concerned? Yes, I think those numbers do hold weight. Now, you can kind of say, well, times have changed, the league is different than it was in years past. But at the end of the day, history is history, and history teaches us lessons, right? We learn from these lessons, right? And that's how we formulate a better future, right? So when you go to school, and I know school's not for everyone, but let's say you're taking a history class and math teacher or professor puts up this statistic and says, you know what, like if you do XYZ, chances are the probability rate of this happening or this coming to fruition is about less than 1%. And you're looking at it and be like, okay, well, I can break that mold, which you probably can. But at the end of the day, the odds are stacked against you. So should the Raiders be concerned starting 0-3? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, the numbers don't lie, and either does the history. The history tells us something. Now we can go back and look at recency bias and look at recent history and be like, okay, well, the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl, they were the first team to host a Super Bowl in their home stadium and win it, right? And so the following year, the Los Angeles Rams did the same thing at SoFi Stadium. So in back-to-back years, they recreated history, and now they started the trend, if you will, right? If you want to go that route. But at the end of the day, yeah, I can see both sides, but if it was me, I look to the analytics. I'm a very analytical guy. You can ask Eric Wright, former San Francisco 49ers cornerback, who calls me the analytical guy, and he will tell you, hey, look, BEASTwriter's analytical. He goes by the numbers. And I do. Now, again, it's on a case-by-case basis, because I do believe, and I talked to some of the players, the pulse of the team is, look, nothing has changed in a sense that nothing's out of ordinary, right? So when I watched training camp starting on June 20th to today, and here we're seeing on September 28th, right? Throughout that time frame, nothing has really changed in a sense of like urgency or anything like that. And that's a good thing. And let me tell you why. It's a good thing because this consistency is key in the NFL. Consistency is key if you're a leader. If you're a leader of men, or if you're trying to teach these principles or techniques or whatever the case may be, when you're trying to coach up certain things to certain players and motivate these players to make sure that everyone's buying into the program, you really need to make sure that the dynamics of everything and all the parameters are working as one. And so when you look and when I observe practice, one of the things, I don't just look at practice. I don't just see who's doing well. Yes, I do the one-on-one drills and breakdowns that you guys all come to love, but I also like to see what's going on away from the play. what are the players actually doing? Are they paying attention or are they goofing off? Are they cracking jokes along the sideline just because they're not on the field during these one-on-one drills during joint practice with the New England Patriots? And I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, let me see how these players take in the information that the coaches are teaching and preaching. And so I see that every freaking player is tunnel vision on what's going on because he knows if he doesn't pay attention, odds are, well, let's be honest, he wouldn't be there in the first place because you have to be smart, tough, physical, and have an unquestioned work ethic, both physically and mentally, right? And I talked about it with Coach McDaniels early in the year during training camp about having the mental reps, because that's one thing I noticed. I said, man, these guys are taking mental reps. Usually you don't see that. It is what it is. Like some players just goof off, they do whatever, and then once they have to go in on a play, that's when they get serious because all eyes are on me. Not with the Las Vegas Raiders. So when people are telling me or shooting me DMs or shooting me or adding me like, oh, like they need to fire Coach Josh McDaniels, I'm looking at this, I'm saying, why? Because let's be honest about this. The grass isn't always green on the other side anyways. And furthermore, just because they're 0-3 you can't put all that blame on the coaching staff. And again, coaches coach. I always say this because I coached, but coaches coach and players play. It's up to the coaches to put the players in the best position to make those plays, but it's also up to the players to go ahead and make those damn plays. So let's not get it twisted when people say, oh, we need to fire Coach McDaniels. Is he the one missing tackles? Is he the one having bad red zone efficiency? Is he the one that's not dialing up plays and players, I'm not going to name the players, are dropping balls between the 20s? Is he the one that gets called for false start penalties or holding penalties that kind of become drive killers that we talk about? Again, Coach McDaniels talked about this. We need to learn not to lose before we learn how to win, right? So how do you do those things? Well, you cut down on the mental errors. Again, it's a mental game. Football is as game mental as it is physical. So if you don't understand the mental aspect of the game of football, it's all for naught. I'm telling you guys right now, it's all for naught. Because if you don't understand situational football, and we can talk about this all night. We're not even starting in the live stream yet. We're just talking about all this crap that I've been fielding. And it really irritates me because, one, I was once a coach, and trust me, parents, oh, why aren't you playing my son? Or why don't I go back to the parent. Why isn't your son playing? Well, what do you mean? He's the best player on the team. Is he? Is he really the best player on the team? So if I put him in this position, is he really the best player on the team? Okay, if he's out there, is he really going to perform at the highest level? Is he really, you know what I mean? So it's just like, at some point, people have to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, look, I'm just as much as the problem as I am the solution. If I am fourth on the depth chart, don't blame the coaches. Don't blame anyone else but yourself. And iron sharpens iron. Goes back to the iron sharpens iron mentality, right? Look, there's players who probably on any given team, whether it be NFL, NBA, hockey, you name it, they probably think they should be the starter, but yet they're on the practice squad. Or maybe they're sitting at home like me, watching it from the couch right now and being like, oh man, I'm better than that player. Well, then do something about it. Right? Just like when I step on stage for my bodybuilding show and I lose, which I've lost, right? And I get upset about it. But who's the person to blame? Do you blame the judges? Do you blame the coaches? No, you blame yourself. It's you. Like, what can you do to improve? Like, that's what it's all about. And with the players that they have, thanks to GM Dave Ziegler and scouting department, by the way, all the way from Lenny McGill, DeJuan Daniels, the list goes on and on and on with these scouts, right? With everyone from the top down, from those guys down to the coaching staff with Coach McDaniels and then Coach Ash, Coach Simmons, Coach McMahon. All these guys are teaching, right? Coach Graham, Coach Lombardi, they're teaching the proper techniques. Coach Clemens, they're teaching the proper techniques. It's up to the players. Now, I'm not saying it's all on the players and why they're 0-3. Look, we can, but to say that you can place blame on Derek Carr. Oh, it's Derek Carr's fault that they're struggling. Oh, it's Darren Waller because you dropped that pass in the end zone. And I already talked about that. That you be put in that situation, and it's hard to concentrate on the football, catch it, and then embrace for the contact when you're about to get walloped by the inside linebacker. What should have happened, all right, if we're being quite honest, what should have happened is the quarterback's responsibility is to throw it away from harm's way. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. All right, because you're seeing it, and the wide receiver or the tight end in this case is placing his trust in you that you're going to deliver the ball with accuracy, throwing away from harm's way. Now, if you throw the ball in stride and there's a middle linebacker right there and you're just going into his zone coverage, well, he's just going to lay the wood on you. All right, that's just a free kill shot. But if you throw it on the back shoulder maybe, or kind of saving him by throwing it down and low to where he still can catch the ball, especially down inside the red zone, which we talked about on Raider Nation Radio, because again, as you get closer to the red zone and as you get closer to that goal line, everything's condensed. The splits are condensed. How you're playing your leverage is condensed. There's less real estate to work with because it's condensed. So it's not as easy as A. In fact, I would be quick to argue that as you get closer from, I would say the 15-yard, I would say about the 15 to 10 yards in, it gets harder because everything is more congested. It's like playing basketball in box and one. If you're playing a box and one coverage, it's already condensed. There's only so much room you can wiggle with in spacing. So let's not get away from the total grand scheme of things, because it's not all on the coaches. It's not all on the players. It's a combination between the two. And let's be honest about this. The Raiders could easily be 3-0 as they are 0-3. So I don't think, question was asked, should they panic? Yes, they should panic, because who wants to be 0-3? They're the only team in the NFL who has yet to record a win. But am I going to write them off? Heck no. I am not writing them off, because this team is too disciplined, in my estimation. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is the right coaching staff. This is the right personnel that's in here. They got the right players who understand or are very coachable. Mind you, you can have great players who aren't coachable. So what's the point of having that if they don't even understand or don't even want to learn the scheme, because they're like, oh, my technique wins all the time. I don't care if it's a cover one. That's easy. It's mono coverage. Okay, but what if it's cover one with, like, let's say, I don't know, a hole player, right? Or let's say it's a cover one or cover three, whatever the case may be, and you have a robber scheme attached to it, or if you have a spy attached to it, or you can still play the same technique even though you have inside help and you like to play with outside leverage, or vice versa. I don't know. All I got to say is this. This team, this coaching staff, the players, they're going to be just fine. You just have to believe in the process and take it one play at a time, because if you don't take it one play at a time and you think you just become 1-3 off one big 45-yard touchdown and that's it, and that's all she wrote, it ain't going to happen. Now, again, the NFL season is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So if you develop these small wins, right, cutting down on the penalties, that's a small win. Getting positive yardage down inside the red zone and scoring on those 4-point plays that Coach Lombardi and Coach McDaniels talked about, and translate maybe half of those into touchdowns instead of into field goals. Those are small increment wins. When you do these different things and gather first downs and not hurt your team by being a drive killer, right, with penalties, where Josh Jacobs runs for a 15, 17-yard gain, but then they gets called back because of a holding penalty. Those are small wins. And what happens to those small wins when you add those up at the end of the game? In a close game where your margin for error is already limited, you're going to come out on top more times than not. So I'm not hitting the panic button in the sense that the season is over. In fact, I think this is a blessing in disguise that they're 0-3, because now the pressure is off. Look, all season we're talking, oh, the Raiders are going to go to the Super Bowl. Oh, they have Devontae Adams and Derek Carr. Oh, we have Darren Waller, and we have Hunter Renfrow. Who can stop us? Read my comments on YouTube. Read my comments on Twitter. Read my comments on Instagram. Read my comments on Facebook. Everybody's saying the same damn thing before the season started. Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. Or if not, oh, we're going to have the number one offense because we have Davante Adams now. Well, Davante Adams is only one player. Yes, he's a great player, a Hall of Fame player. Don't get it twisted. But it takes more than that, right? Because I talked about this. Games are won in the trenches. If you don't have a stable offensive line, it doesn't matter who your wide receiver is. You can have Jerry Rice for all I care about. You can have Randy Moss for all I care about. You can have Tim Brown for all I care about. You can have freaking James Jett who just runs go routes for all I care about. It doesn't really matter. Because if the line can't protect, these players aren't going to have enough time to get open anyways. Which means the running game is not going to get going because you're not blowing up holes for the running game. So what are defenses going to do? Make you one-dimensional. What I talk about today on the Raider Nation Radio, making teams one-dimensional. So the flip side of this is, luckily I cover all 32 NFL teams. The Raiders aren't the only problems with offensive line woes. And let me tell you something. I like this Raiders offensive line. Yes, is it a Pro Bowl, all-pro offense? No, it's not. But I do like the way GM Dave Ziegler and Coach McDaniels are bringing in these guys, right? Like Justin Huron. I like him. Talked to him today. I like him. The guy's smart, played the trumpet. He's very, very smart. Offensive tackle, very athletic, can hit that second level with ease. I think they really got a good project there that they can work with and possibly mold into a starting offensive tackle. Now, they also have another project that I really like in Thayer Munford, right? Thayer Munford, the Big Ten Ohio State product. Talked to him about it and provided me a self-assessment on his game. I like him too. I also like Dylan Parham. That goes without saying. Coming out, I thought he was one of the steals of the draft. All right, I still believe so. I like Dylan Parham. Obviously, I like Colton Miller. I mean, come on, who doesn't like Colton Miller? Like, if you don't like Colton, there's something wrong with you. So there's a strong nucleus there for the team moving forward. Now, to say, is this team going to go all the way? Those aspirations are all but gone. But the pressure is off for the Raiders to succeed. So everyone who's jumping off the bandwagon now, go ahead, stay off the wagon because you guys are going to be wanting to hop back on once they start winning these games. I'm telling you right now. Now, injuries have taken a toll on them. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that. I haven't been on a Pick Six live stream in a long time, but I have a lot to say. And it's just ridiculous how people are just like, oh, the Raiders suck. They stink. They're this, they're that. Look, I've been around some stinky teams. I think I know what a stinky team looks like. I also know what a team looks like when they're dysfunctional. You're not getting that with the Raiders, despite the 0-3 record. I'm telling you, Coach McDaniels has this thing going in the right direction. People, send them back to Denver, like send them back to New England, like we don't want them anymore. Yo, be careful what you wish for. I'm telling you, Coach McDaniels is a great coach. I'm riding with Coach McDaniels. I like Coach McDaniels. I said it since day one. In fact, when the Niners were doing their search, go back and check the Beast receipts. Who did I say that they should have gotten? Or that they should have targeted, I should say. Coach McDaniels. My line of thinking from back when was that? 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, has not changed. And here we are in 2022. The Beast receipts check out. I'm telling you right now, there's a reason why. All right. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the injury reports as we talk about the news, notes, and quotes that we talk about and we love to talk about. Let me just get those banners up for you. All right. Denzel Pearman has an ankle injury. We all know that. He's been out, didn't play against the Titans. Same with Trayvon Merrick, who has a hip injury. He was out, didn't play against the Titans. Both those guys returned to the lineup returned to practice in a limited role. So that's good news for them because if Trayvon Merrick was out, who is the starting free safety, and obviously Duron Harmon had to step in his place with Jonathan Abram and so forth, you lose potentially 3/4 of your secondary. So let me tell you this. If you had the best secondary in the NFL, like the Denver Broncos did, if they had a healthy Justin Simmons, how do I know this? Because I run grades. All right. If you lost Justin Simmons, which they did, the free safety, if you lost Kareem Jackson, the starting strong safety, if you lost Pat Surtain, who was the second highest graded in my DOB grading system last year, that's 3 of your starters. Where in the world are you going to replicate that type of production? In fact, from a schematic standpoint, what you thought you could do with Justin Simmons, what you thought you could do with Pat Surtain, what you thought you could do with Kareem Jackson, if those guys were not playing, you would probably, and let's be honest about this, run a 2-deep shell. You run a cover 2 all the way. In fact, you might even run a quarters coverage because you're so scared of getting beat deep. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about that. Coach Graham is in a tough position, all right? Luckily, he has some depth there. Now, for those who don't know, let's go ahead and break it down. Nate Hobbs went for a tackle on Derrick Henry, got knocked out, had a concussion. It's now in concussion protocol, which Coach McDaniels alluded to on Monday. All right, fast forward to Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin, which I talked about in my Aloha kickoff video, was diagnosed with a knee strain. I talked about the difference between a sprain and a strain, where we talk about ligament damage as opposed to muscle and tendon damage. And off of a strain, there are 2 components that a strain can take place. I talked about the quad and how that ties into the patella tendon, how that ties into the tibia. If you guys want to know what I had to say about that, go check out the Aloha kickoff video after this kickoff video is done here in the Pick 6 segment. Those are your 2 starting boundary cornerbacks. All right, your 2 starting boundary cornerbacks. Then what happens? Well, luckily you have Amik Robertson. And I talked about this on Raider Nation Radio. I think Amik Robertson is the X factor. I think he's the X factor. Why? Because he can do so many different things and line up in so many different positions when you're trying to play chess, not checkers. All right? He can be an extra box run defender. He can play the slot. He can mirror coverage outside. He can pattern match downfield. He's very smart at recognizing route concepts. If it's a trips formation or it's a 3x2 set, he knows what kind of technique to play. If it's a tight split formation, you know damn well that you can't be playing in press man technique. Why? Because more times than not, again, I run film. You watch film, you can pick up on tendencies around the league. A lot of teams, what they like to do is they like to have these condensed formations, forcing you to play off zone coverage, therefore allowing a free release off the line of scrimmage to avoid those rub routes on the flip end if you're playing defensive back. All right. Amik Robertson gets it. He understands that. He's very smart coming out of Louisiana Tech. One of my sleepers, go check the Beast receipts when he was coming out of college. Just like Joe Bocci. Joe Bocci didn't pan out. Amik Robertson did. So I'm 50% on my sleeper picks. But getting back to Amik Robertson, I like what he brings to the table. I talk to him every chance I get in the locker room. I shouldn't say every chance, but once in the blue moon or once every other day, I'd say I talk to him about 2-3 times a week. And during open media locker room, and just to say what are you seeing? Like how are you improving? Because this is a guy who I was high on coming out of Louisiana Tech. This is not some guy I was like, oh, let me do research on before he gets drafted by the Raiders. In fact, I wasn't even covering the Raiders at that time, but I do cover all 32 NFL teams in general. So technically yes, technically no. Getting back to it, talking about covering all 32 NFL teams. There's another boundary cornerback on the flip side of that named Pat Surtain, who I was really high on when I covered Hot Mike for college football. And I said, this guy is the most fundamentally sound cornerback to come out of the draft since Ahmed Plummer did it in 2000. Not as gifted. Again, you knew what you were getting with Ahmed Plummer. In fact, the Carolina Panthers, rest his soul, went after Rashard Anderson at the time because of his potential out of Jackson. I think it was Jackson State. I think he came out of Jackson State. But Ahmed Plummer was the most fundamentally sound cornerback in that draft. In fact, that was the same draft that they picked up Julian Peterson. In fact, they traded, I think it was number 3 pick with the Cleveland Browns, who picked up Courtney Brown, and LeVar Arrington won that draft number 2. And they ended up, talking about the Niners, ended up with, 11 draft picks. I'm joking. It was like 10 draft picks. They had 2 in the second. They drafted Jason Webster out of Texas A&M, who, again, if you want to talk about smaller cornerback like Amik Robertson, but plays it tough, aggressive, and very smart. That's another one. He was a team captain. All right. You have John Engelberger out of Virginia Tech, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Virginia Tech. Now that I think about it, I'm not so sure. But they drafted John Engelberger in the second round. I know that for a fact. They also got, I think in that same draft, I don't know. Now I'm thinking maybe they got, I know they got Giovanni Carmazzi out of Hofstra in that draft. But anyways, yeah. Tia Stilly says Raider fans jump ship so fast it makes me upset too. I mean, just a fan in general. If we're gonna be a fan in general of any NFL team, I don't care if it's the Raiders, I don't care if it's the Broncos, but don't jump off the damn bandwagon and be like, oh yeah, we suck. Like look, if you suck, you suck. If you're 0-16, you suck. If you're the Raiders don't suck. They're just not pulling out these victories. Doesn't mean they suck. And like, again, even if they did suck, which they don't, but let's say they did, the moment you drop off is the moment you're considered a fair weather fan. Let's not get it twisted, because once they start winning again, because it will happen, all these, oh, I knew they can do it. Oh, I knew they were good. Oh my gosh, like the Raiders. Yeah. Bro. Spare me. I'll tell you what. I'll challenge every Raider fan right now. To stay on board, right? And Raider fans are the most loyal fan bases, by the way. Just putting it out there. They're one of the most loyal fan bases. It's sweeter when they start winning again, because you know why? Every team goes through those down times. Every team does it. I don't care if you're the Patriots. I don't care if you're the Bengals. I don't care if you're the Rams, Niners, Steelers, Packers, Chiefs. They all go through some down times. It's the ones that stick with the team through thick and thin that makes winning that much sweeter, because you were with them through it all. If you were just with the team through the good times, what's the fun in that? Like for me, when I was a fan, which I was, of the San Francisco 49ers, right? No longer a fan anymore. Obviously, I want these teams to do well because, I want the Raiders to do well. I want the Niners to do well because I have friends on the team and stuff, but, and who work for them. But at the end of the day, it's like this, like, yo, like, am I just going to be like, oh man, like they suck, so I'm not going to like them anymore? Like, what? What are you, 5? I don't know. I think it's a little, what is it? You guys, not you in general, people in general, fans in general, doesn't matter what fan base. You always guys want these instant gratifications. Like, oh my gosh, the worst team in football last year was what? The Jacksonville freaking Jaguars, right? And now look at them. Now all these Duval fans are coming out of the woodworks. Go Jags. Really? Where were you last year? I have people on my timeline I never knew were Jaguars fans to begin with. They're like, oh yeah, Jaguars. Oh yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Oh yeah, Travis Etienne. Oh yeah. Good thing we got rid of LaVisca Chenault. Oh yeah. We don't have DJ Shark anymore. Oh yeah. But we have Marvin Jones. We have Zay Jones. Oh yeah. We got Walker, Trayvon Walker now. Oh man. Guy's going to be a stud. Where did you come from? Because it wasn't on my timeline last year or the year before that or the year before that or the year before that. Just saying. And this is on my Facebook right now. So if you're watching this, sorry, not sorry. Just keeping it 100. Just keeping it 100. We got Robert Pena says, been a fan since 1976. Man, that's a long time. That's a long time. I love it. 1976. Was that the year they won the Super Bowl? I think that was the year they won their first Super Bowl. Am I correct? I believe they won in 1976, and they beat, if I'm not mistaken, I think they beat the Minnesota Vikings. And then I got to remember this because I cover the Raiders now. All right. So I think in 1976, they beat the Minnesota Vikings. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1980 was their next Super Bowl, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC East. And then in 1983, they beat the Washington Redskins, or now the Commanders. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I got it right, I am on the right track. If I got it wrong, I apologize for giving you wrong information. My man, Dennis, says, if they go 0-17, I'm still a Raider Nation for life fan. Tisdale says, there's so much season left. We have a new coach, new scheme, new players. Give it a little time. Yes, let's do that. Let's give it a little time. Why not? My man, what's up, G, says, the Raiders have lost their 3 games by a combined 13 points. Well, there you have it. There you have it. All right. James Cho says, yo, Ryan, did you see the Dan Orlovsky video about Carr not making the right reads? What are your thoughts on that? Yes. And this is funny. I wasn't even anticipating this. Let's just go ahead and talk about this for a second. I love Dan Orlovsky before I get started. All right. I do. All right. Love is a strong word. I never met the guy. I like his analysis. All right. I do. I like his analysis. I think he's a bright guy, a really good analyst. I like him. All right. Respectfully disagree with what he put up on Derek Carr. And I was asked this very question on Raider Nation Radio live right here from Raiders headquarters right after practice concluded. Right after practice concluded, my man Harry Ruiz, go follow him on Twitter. You can follow my man Harry Ruiz. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He's on all these other social media platforms. I'll go ahead and give him a shout out as I do it always in my live streams. Follow my man. He was hosting today's show for JT the Brick. He even asked me, he's like, man, did you hear what's going on with Dan Orlovsky and what he said about Derek Carr? What are your thoughts on that? Because he knows I grade all 32 NFL teams. I don't just talk about one team. Like I said, in order for me to talk about one team, I need to know the dynamics of the other 31. And not only the other 31, I need to know the dynamics of college football and how that's going to play a role in the upcoming draft. I need to know the GM's tendencies. I need to know the assistant GM's tendencies. I need to know their scouting department's tendencies. I need to know whose voice is heard more within the organization. There's a lot of different layers to this as we get to the core, as I always like to say. But getting back to this Dan Orlovsky, Derek Carr not targeting Davante Adams, I think is completely, what are we doing? As Julian Edelman would say inside the NFL. What are we doing? And in fact, Harry, and I didn't look up the stats yet, but Harry even pulled up the stats when I said, no, I disagree with that. And this is reasons why. Look, the coverage is going to dictate where the ball is going. You don't force feed Davante Adams. And yes, you can point out those few plays that he pointed out and say, oh, he should have thrown it there. But if I'm not mistaken, isn't Davante Adams one of the highest players targeted by their starting quarterback? Now, let's peel back another layer of the onion to really get to that core. What are the cover shells that are being dictated on those targets? If you want to do an apples to apples comparison. Now, I don't know that because I'm not the one that put this out there. Right? I'm not the one saying that Derek Carr should or shouldn't be targeting Davante Adams or should be targeting him more. Look, the coaches have always said, basically take what the defense gives you. If Davante Adams is being double teamed or triple teamed, which he's always is anyways, no matter what kind of route he's running, whether it be a speed out, a quick slant, a comeback, a hitch, whatever the case may be, a corner, a post, a skinny post, a rub route, he's going to be double teamed. To say that he's not being targeted, though, or Derek Carr needs to do a better job of targeting him, I would be like, what? He's being targeted fine. Derek Carr's fine targeting Davante Adams. They're fine. They're fine. Let's be honest about this. If they're 3-0, we don't even be talking. Forget that. If they're 2-1, or even 1-2, we don't even be talking about this. Let's be honest about that. But the fact that they're not, people are like, oh, well, let's. Well, yeah, the reason why they're losing is because let's go there. It's like, man, no. Let's not do that. Let's actually. If I was gonna put out like something like that, like let's say not that, but like let's say target share or whatever the case may be, you really. And I'm not saying Dan does not do this. He's a professional freaking former NFL quarterback. I think he knows what he's doing, especially more than me. But I would like to see the numbers, Dan, if you're watching, which he's probably not. But if he is, I would like to see the numbers on comparables. Like we compare houses to houses, right, in the real estate market, right? We do comparables in the insurance industry. I was a former insurance agent, so we do comparables there. Why not compare, if you're going to say target share, based on what types of reads, what types of zone coverages, what types of pre-snap to post-snap play were being given to the sample size of quarterbacks that you want to compare to, and then go from there. For instance, if you want to say Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins. Okay, let's look at the target share from XYZ and then compare the cover shells, the rules of engagement, which we don't know. The coach is not going to tell you the rules of engagement, what happens when when Davante Adams lines up wide in trips formation, how does that switch up your rules of engagement and him coming off his stem? They're not going to give you the answers. How would you really know what Derek Carr is looking for if it's a check to me or if it's not? We don't know. We don't know. OKC Raider said, I'm a diehard Raider fan and Derek Carr fan as well. I hate how the nation just bashes a man who is not elite but damn good at the quarterback position. Yeah. I can't say you're wrong, man. I cannot say you're wrong. OKC Raider 405, thank you for tuning in. You are correct, sir. 100. My man, Dennis says, gives it a thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. My man Kevin says, there's no feeling better than winning the Super Bowl and hunting down all the haters who shove it in their face. That's glorious. I think that's what drives players too. I talked to some of the players today and you can tell, like, they're just as upset as fans are. Like, you got to remember that. Like, they're not happy about it. Do you think these players want to go 0-3? Like, no. You think this team wants to go 0-3? You think this team wants to be 0-4? No. They're doing everything the right way. The leaders which are led by Max Crosby, Davante Adams, Mac Hollins, right? Duron Harmon, all the team captains, right? AJ Cole, right? This goes on and on and on. Look at the team, and even who aren't team captains, like, Denzel Pearman is another one. But if you go down the list, like, let's say someone who like Josh Jacobs, right? Like, these guys are leading by example, doing a very good job of leading by example, and very consistent. So when someone talks to me, doesn't talk to me, leaves a comment and says, hey, look, have you seen anything different? Because Davante Adams says this is the best practice ever that the team has had in terms of paying attention to the details. My answer is simply no. And that's a good thing. Why? Because everything was consistent from what I saw on June 20th to September 28th today. Nothing has changed. And that's a good thing, because that means that everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, and how they're supposed to get it done, and why they're supposed to get it done, and why they're doing these things. What's the why behind the reasoning of why you're doing these things? Right? A lot of times we look at things and be like, oh yeah, I know my assignment, but do you know why that's your assignment? Do you know why we're teaching that technique? Do you know why in this certain situations we're teaching you how to leverage the block this way? Do you know the why behind their scheme and what they're trying to accomplish on their end? Do you know why you have to do it this way? Because in order to avoid spacing concepts with your own teammates on this side of the field, because if he has something different and sees something different, he might go over here instead of over there. All these things play a role. There's a lot of layers to this, guys. We haven't even got started on the live stream yet. All right. Salvatore Bruno says, how is the morale of the Raider locker room? Do the players seem dejected, angry, and frustrated? I just explained that to you. And yes, they're all of that. They're not angry. They're more, I think disappointed would be a stronger word, because they're disappointed in the fact that they're not pulling out these wins when they know they're winnable games. And I think that's the frustrating part. All right. I'm just using your words here. I think that's the frustrating part, because of the fact that they know they can play better. It's like when we underperform. If we were practicing or taking an exam at school, right, or taking our driver's license test, let's say, right, and you're practicing for the written exam and you pass that with flying colors, but then the actual physical driving exam comes and you fail it, you don't pass it, and you're like, gosh dang, man, I freaking passed the written exam, I didn't miss one question, and then I fail the actual test. Wouldn't you be frustrated? So in a sense, yes, there's no moral victories, but there are things that can be learned from these losses. Because let me tell you something. If you're not learning something, you're not progressing somewhere. All right. So if you're not learning how to be a better football player and maybe how to leverage a certain technique properly, or maybe you gave up a big play here, or a penalty there, if you're not learning from these mistakes, then I would be like, yeah, we have a problem. The players are not buying into the system. We have a problem. I don't see that. I see the teachers and the coaches. I call coaches teachers. I think that's no better compliment that you can give a coach than calling him a teacher, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We teach. We teach and we preach. It's up to the players to perform. All right. So as coaches, our job is to teach these players these life lessons, right? These lessons on how to improve. If you're not doing that, that's a missed opportunity. And then we can see a spiral downward effect. I'm not seeing that from this coaching staff. Again, this coaching staff is top notch. I'm telling it, all the way on record saying it. Even before Coach McDaniels was the coach of the Raiders, I thought he should be a perfect case for the 49ers. Loved Coach McDaniels coming out. He has this team in the right direction. And talking to him in the daily press conferences, I can tell you the team is on and trending in the right direction. Now, again, you have to have the healthy horses too. And now I'm not saying the players are not good, because they are very good, right? All I'm saying is it goes hand in hand. You need a good coach, good, strong coaching staff who put their players in the best position to make plays, but it's up to the players to ultimately make those plays. For instance, if you're playing a cover 3 shell, right? If you're lined up in a cover 3 and you call a cover 3 cloud or a cover 3 sky or a cover 3 buzz, there's different rules of engagement that you have to do, whether you're a strong safety, a boundary cornerback, or a second level backer, right? I know I'm going on different layers here, but if you don't understand those concepts and you as a coach or as a teacher try to run this cover shell to disguise pre-snap rotation, you're going to be screwed, because if one player is off, the rotation is going to be screwed, and that quarterback's going to find the soft spots in that zone coverage. You see where I'm getting with this? Again, it goes both ways. So I have no problems with Coach McDaniels, with GM Dave Ziegler at the helm. I back those guys up. If someone has asked me at EOS, which I'm going to go to the gym for the second time today because I did my fasted cardio, did 1,000 calories. Some of you guys saw me at the gym, wanted to talk about the pick 6 segment that I haven't done in a week. I said, okay, I'll do one today. Here I am today talking about it. Couldn't really do it on the cardio because I was burning 1,200 calories in under an hour, and I was very very tired, out of breath, if you can imagine. Make sure to hit the like button for Beast. Thank you so much, Jesse Cardenas. I appreciate the love. There's a lot to talk about, man. All I gotta say is let's talk about the Davante Adams matchup. All right. The M2W. What's the M2W? If you guys don't know, here in the Pick 6 live stream, M2W stands for matchup to watch. Every matchup to watch, I will do a 1-player segment. And luckily, I have grades on all these players. It's not like let's pull a name out of the hat and look at the box score and just see, oh, yeah, Jeffrey Simmons. No, man, I've been grading Jeffrey Simmons since he came out of Mississippi State. Same college as Jonathan Abram. Same college as Darius Slay. No, didn't Darius Slay come out of Mississippi State? I think he did. I think the one game, if I remember correctly, I remember talking to Quentin Patton. You guys remember Quentin Patton? He also went to Louisiana Tech, if I'm not mistaken. Same school as Tim Rattay. And he said the hardest guy that he had covered him was Darius Big Play Slay. I thought that was interesting. But anyways, getting back to it, the matchup to watch is Davante Adams and Pat Surtain. Covered Pat Surtain at Alabama for a hot mic when I covered college football. Again, I covered the SEC. So I talked about LSU, all the big name schools, right? And we really harped on I'm a huge Roll Tide fan anyway. So I was like, man, this is cake for me. But I wanted to see what I saw from Pat Surtain. I was like, this guy is definitely going to be a star. No pun intended, because they have a star position. Well, in today's day, it would be named by the Malachi Moore position. But anyways, getting back to it, Nick Saban likes to run the cover 7 scheme with different rules of engagement. You have a mod call. There's all these different calls you can get into, right? But anyways, Pat Surtain got it. And he's fundamentally sound. All right. He stays square at the line of scrimmage, doesn't open his hips up too early, uses proper hand placement off the line of scrimmage, knows how to play off man versus off zone coverage, knows how to play press zone coverage. So now you're learning different techniques and how to leverage those techniques based on down and distance. This guy was getting it. I was like, this guy is going to be a beast when he comes out. Then once the Denver Broncos drafted, I did all grades on all AFC teams. Yes, I ran grades on all 16 AFC teams once the picks were made. You guys don't believe me? There's my video up on YouTube, or after this video concludes, just type in Denver Broncos draft grades, and you see what I gave the grades of Denver Broncos and George Payton an A. Because it got who? Pat Surtain, and who did they get in the set? Oh, yeah, that's right. Javonte Williams, who I talked about with Coach Graham. I knew that guy was going to be a beast. Covered him at North Carolina when I was scouting his stats, not just reading the box scores. Who, by the way, he split time with Michael Carter. And I was like, dude, Michael Carter would be a good pickup by the 49ers. Ultimately went to the New York Jets, who run the same scheme as the 49ers because Coach Robert Saleh is there. So again, if you're going to talk about all 32 NFL teams or the team you're talking about, you better know all 31. Or better have some grasp of all 31. It's a lot of legwork, though. It's a lot of legwork and not a lot of time. And time is money. All right. So, anyways, Pat Surtain versus Davante Adams. I want to see that matchup. I think that's a good matchup to watch. Pat Surtain is very, very fundamentally sound. And he's going to be a player that's going to be moving around. Now the Denver Broncos, again, they have K'Waun Williams there. Again, former San Francisco 49er, who is used as an extra box run defender, kind of in the mold of a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, which I alluded to earlier, right? When he was with the New Orleans Saints, now with the Philadelphia Eagles. But you see, just like with the tight end position, how it's kind of transcending, right? Gone are the days of the Brent Jones who would just catch, 3-4 balls a game and then be an inline blocker and so forth, right? No matter what system, if it's a West Coast system or not. Today, you have the Travis Kelce's, you have the George Kittles, you have the Darren Wallers, right? More of a receiving threat. Kyle Pitts, more of a receiving threat. Even Dallas Goedert, right? More of a receiving threat. Dalton Schultz, more of a receiving threat, right? We're just thinking with the NFC East right now, but you can go around the landscape of any division. I mean, look at the New England Patriots, right? Before they got Jonnu Smith from the Tennessee Titans and freaking Hunter Henry from the Los Angeles Chargers. Those guys were not like too shabby. You know what I mean? Like those are good, solid pickups. So you look around the landscape of the entire NFL and you say, okay, the tight end position has definitely changed. The fullback position definitely obsolete today. Sorry, Pat Ricard. Sorry, Alec Ingold. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way the NFL is transcending. Now, obviously, it's good to have a fullback, especially if you run a power-based run scheme. You're going to need a fullback. But again, you look around the landscape of the entire NFL, and so what I see in a guy like Javonte Williams, right, a running back who really can do a multitude of different things, right? He catches the ball in space. He can be targeted out of the backfield. So now he's a receiving threat. So now you're pulling away that second level backer. Now you create matchup problems. He's also strong and tough between the tackles. One thing I like about Javonte Williams is he has a strong core contact balance. So again, he absorbs contact like a sponge and can get initial yards after the contact. So again, when you're trying to bring down ball carriers on initial contact to prevent those extra yards that add up into big wins throughout the course of the game, and a guy like that can really wear you down in the fourth quarter, you got to be careful. And the question was asked, hey, the Denver Broncos offense has struggled. And my man Harry Ruiz on Raider Nation Radio said, hey, what do the Denver Broncos need to do? I said, it goes back to what the Seattle Seahawks did under Pete Carroll when he had Russell Wilson. Plain and simple, run the football. You run the football, it opens up the play action pass, and now the tight end can run down the seams. Now these wide receivers can have free releases off the line of scrimmage because they don't know if they're going to be run versus pass, and you don't want to play too tight on DK Metcalf because he can just burn you off the line of scrimmage because he's a big body frame receiver. Right? Tyler Lockett, same difference. Now, the personnel has changed with the Denver Broncos, but you still have Cortland Sutton. That's your DK Metcalf. You still have KJ Hamler. That could be your Tyler Lockett type of a guy. Jerry Judy, one of the best route runners to come out of that draft class. In my estimation, cream of the crop in terms of route running ability. So, again, you have a trio of wide receivers there. Ultimately, how are you going to stop these guys? It's going to be tough. But it all starts with Javonte Williams. Up front. All right. So with that being said, let's get to some of your questions. A lot of questions. Vinny Osorio says, Pat Surtain balled out last week. Man, Pat Surtain is balling out since his rookie year. Look, I got grades. And I like how people, not anymore, they don't do it anymore, but in the beginning, it's like, oh, yeah, you have grades, prove it. And I'm like, okay, which game do you want? Which down do you want? Which play do you want? And now the burden of proof falls on you to prove me wrong. But Pat Surtain did have a hell of a game last week. In fact, the game before that, I just wrapped up his grades late last night. Luckily, it was only half a game. And so in week 2, he actually got injured. He injured his shoulder, so he's pulled out in the second quarter. So that full body of work, here we go talking about scheme now. You can kind of see some subtle differences in the cover shells once Pat Surtain was out, because they're kind of playing it soft. And again, when you have Justin Simmons, another Pro Bowl player, in my grading system, that's 2/4 of your secondary out. That's a half of your secondary out. Not good. But yeah, Pat Surtain obviously had a good game last week, bounced back in week 3. But Justin Simmons is a guy who they're going to be missing. Like, you have Kareem Jackson. Yeah, you have K'Wan Williams. Those guys are good. But at the end of the day, Justin Simmons is Justin Simmons. And Justin Simmons is a top. I would put him in the Kevin Byard category. He's not yet in the. Well, to me, Tyron Matthew, still the standard. But, you have other guys out there like Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? And Jesse Bates III, right? So you talk about these guys in the AFC North just within the division. Those guys, I would take Minkah Fitzpatrick over anyone right now. He had 2 pick sixes, in the first 2 weeks of the year. So, or maybe not 2. I think he did have 2 pick sixes the first 2 weeks. He definitely had 2 interceptions when I ran the grades. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, first team All-Pro. I knew when they traded him back in 2019 and he had that big game against the 49ers, man, this guy's going to be an All-Pro player. How do I know that? I cover Roll Tide role players, man. That's what I do. I cover college football. Again, you want to talk about college football looking ahead? There's people already asking me about the draft. The season's not even over. It's crazy. Oh, we should tank the season for the draft. Who should we get? And I'm like, oh, well, there's some good players, but I don't think we should be tanking. But there's a guy by the name of Will Anderson from Alabama or Jalen Carter from Georgia. Those are 2 defensive front 7 players that I think any team would love, and they're not scheme dependent. They're scheme diverse. So, again, Will Anderson can play a 3-4 outside linebacker or 4-3 defensive end. But ultimately, you look at a guy like Jalen Carter, he's also scheme diverse, can play multiple techniques. And in fact, when I graded him last year, he's the one player that jumped out on film, even with superstar players and first-round picks like Nakobe Dean, my guy, Nakobe Dean. Nakobe, for watching, holla at your boy. Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, guys like these, right? Trayvon Walker, Quay Walker, right, for the Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things you can talk about, but ultimately Jalen Carter is going to be one of those guys you're going to look back and be like, man, this guy is a monster. He's a monster. All right. So let's get to some of your questions as I scroll through the tabs. I had a lot to talk about. Hooked on Basin Cat says, let's do this, Raider Nation for life. My man Daniel Kim's in the house. He says, mahalo, brother. What's going on? All right. We have a lot of stuff going on today. Jesse Cardenas says, salute, Beast. Let's get that fire contact. All right. Oh, here we go. My man, What's Up G says, question to Raider fans. Do you think the Raiders made the correct decision in hiring McDaniels, or should they have hired Bisaccia, whom took the Raiders to the playoffs last year? I would personally want Coach McDaniels, and I say that for a number of different reasons. I pointed it out in this entire live stream. I think Coach McDaniels is a great coach. Now, with that being said, how does that translate into wins? Well, right now it's not. So how can you call him a great coach, right? Or a great head coach? But the way I see the team trending and where I foresee this team going, Raider fans are going to be happy. Now I'm just going to leave it at that. So I would say, give me Coach McDaniels any day of the week. Now, that's not to say I don't like Coach Bisaccia, because I do. I think what he did was tremendous. Tremendous. I mean, any other coach under those circumstances, I don't know if they had the same success. So they were really taking a risk when they went after Coach McDaniels, when obviously everyone loved Coach Bisaccia. But at the end of the day, I thought it was the right move to make, and I thought they made the right move. All right. So Blue Bee says, let's get this W next week. I can see that. Robert Pena says, egalitarian. Says, what's up, Ryan? Ryan, we are 0-3. We suck. We're definitely not good. Definitely not good. Okay, OKC says, sorry for late stream. How late to the stream? All good, man. How have you been? I've been good. Just want to get your opinion on why we are 0-3, and is it Derek's fault or do we have bigger issues? Look, the issue is there are bigger issues, and it all starts up front with the offensive line. It all starts with the inside linebacker position. Obviously, a question was asked on Divine Diablo and how much coverage he's giving up as a pass coverage defender. I can't say I disagree with that, but that's not to say I don't like Divine Diablo, because I see the NFL skill set and traits that I do like him. Again, he's converting from safety to linebacker, so it's not an easy transition. Again, we saw this with multitude of different players over the course of my lifetime, right? And we saw it with Taylor Mays with the 49ers. They tried to convert his strong safety suit to a linebacker that didn't fare well. Why? Because his take-on skills were poor for an outside linebacker. When people were saying, oh, I think Jonathan Abrams should be a linebacker, I don't think so, because his take-on skills, again, are going to mirror the same problems, because once you hit that second level against offensive linemen and lock horns, can you disengage and still make the play? I mean, that's a valid question. You can only slip so many times before the offensive lineman, who, by the way, is arguably the smartest positional unit on the field, and for them to say, oh, no, I'm just going to use this technique instead because he can't disengage from me. He can't stack and shed. Once I lock horns, it's game over, and I can dictate where I want him to go and move him off his grass. If I want to move him toward the sideline, I can move him toward the sidelines. But again, it's not a knock on Abram. It's not a knock on Taylor Mays. It's not a knock on anyone else that tries to convert to safety to linebacker. But it's not as easy as plugging and playing and switching positional units, if that makes sense. All right, so all right, let's see here. Oh, Vinny says, do you think it's possible for the Raiders to be a top 10 defense? Anything is possible, but if I'm being truthfully honest, I can name 10 defenses off the top of my head that are playing much better than the Las Vegas Raiders. And I say that how do I say this? I say that now, but obviously that can change tomorrow. The sample size to pull from 3 games is a small sample size to pull from. So, of course, I'm going to say, oh, man, the Denver Broncos have a great defense. Or, yes, obviously the Tampa Bay Bucks have a great defense. And what do those defenses have in common, right? They have a 34 base defense, right? That's what they do. And what do the Raiders run? They run a 34 odd-man front. Tennessee Titans run a 34 odd-man front, right? The Green Bay Packers, same thing, right? The Los Angeles Rams, same difference, right? Chargers, same difference, right? So again, you talk about these different defenses and Jaguars, right? Jaguars run what? A 34 base defense, right? Under GM Trent Baalke. So it's going to be interesting. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Jaguars have the number 1 ranked rush defense in terms of yards allowed. So when you put that all together, it's a small sample size to pull from. But yes, I think the Raiders do have the talent to be a top 10 defense, because I do like Coach Graham. I do like how he schemes things up. I do believe he puts his players in the best position to make plays. And I do think these players can make those plays. Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think. It's what we know. And right now, what we know is what we see is an 0-3 team and not a 3-0 team or a 2-1 team or whatever the case may be. So in order for me to formulate that analysis, I still have to see some production on the field to warrant that analysis of me saying, yes, I'm fairly confident that the Raiders can be a top 10 defense. Right now, I'm kind of iffy on it. Not saying they don't have the talent to do so, because I certainly believe they do. But as of right now, I have to see more on the field for me, especially in the pass rush department. Max Crosby can't do it alone. All right. Now, Bilal Nichols is a guy who I can see step up, and people are pointing to Chandler Jones, but I think Bilal Nichols is an interior pusher himself. Now, he's not going to rack up double-digit sacks. That's not what he's going to be asking to do. But if he works those tackle and stunts and can free up space for guys like Chandler Jones or someone like that and give them a free release off of miscommunication on the offensive line, then that's just good as him making the sack himself. So, again, it's all about making your teammates better, but also improving on yourself and what you can do to help the team win. And so, again, it goes back to the coaching staff and really presenting this to the players. Like, look, we can get this thing going in the right direction, but you have to buy in. You have to understand that what we're trying to do and the why of why we're trying to do these things. Because, again, in order for us to win, we have to learn how not to shoot ourselves in the foot And again, it goes back to football 101, fundamentals. Fundamentals, 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 fundamentals. That's what it comes down to. Let's start there. In order to learn how to run, you have to learn how to walk. And in order to learn how to walk, we have to learn how to crawl. Right? You can't just go from crawling to running without, you're missing too many layers there. Like, what? Yeah, so I don't know. SVT Vasquez says Kuntz has shown flashes in the little opportunities. That's why he has not getting. Why is he not getting more playing time? That is a question that obviously I think we need to ask Coach. There's been a question in regards to Tyron Johnson, my guy. I did catch up with Tyron Johnson. I'll be posting up that interview shortly after this video concludes, or this Pick 6 live stream concludes. And I asked him to describe his one word. Not going to spill the beans on that one because you guys have to watch the live stream. And then also have to tune in to the static video on the locker room dynamic of Tyron Johnson's one-word description of his own game, which I think many of you would agree with. And if you don't agree with, you don't know what you're talking about, bro. I'm joking. I don't know. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I'll be posting that video up. It's a fun one. And so I like to talk to players. And again, to gain the pulse of the team, you have to really know the dynamics of the team in terms of sometimes you don't want to interview the star players. You want to interview the practice squad players. You want to interview the backup players. You want to interview players who may not be getting interviewed 9 times out of 10 or even 5 times out of 10. And the reason I like doing that is, one, it shows that in order to gain the pulse of the team, you really have to cut through all these different layers, because maybe some players see things from a different perspective or a different lens that otherwise another player otherwise wouldn't see. And so when you gather these different layers, then you can formulate a better pulse of how the team is functioning in order for me to hop on this live stream, which is why I'm telling you right now, the Raiders are trending in the right direction. They're trending in the right direction. OKC Raider 405 says, speak on Chandler Jones. Why has he been all that money, no sacks? I mean, I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, can't really disagree with that. People wanted to know how they can donate to the channel. If you're watching the live stream, you guys can donate quickly through the money icon. It's a super chat and super sticker. All proceeds get funneled back into the DOB family at the end of the year. So basically what I'm trying to do is raise enough capital, raise enough money for me to go and to some of these away games. And if you guys like my content, odds are you guys want me there in the first place. So again, all the money gained that I get from my super chat and super stickers will go directly to covering the away games. Because as you guys know, I'm an independent contractor. This is my own business. So I'm not, what's the word? I have to pay my own way. So in order to do that, it's very expensive. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save money for me to just cover the game and do things that way. And everything left over, if there is anything left over, will be funneled back at the end of the year. And I'll run giveaways for all you guys. So again, everything that we get from the super chat and super stickers get funneled back into you guys. And I understand times are tough. So if you guys are unable to send me a super chat, super sticker, all good. You guys don't have to spend a penny. Just give it a thumbs up, like the video. If you guys been watching this for now an hour and 8 minutes long now, and please do that and comment and spread the word to all your family and friends. That's the best advice I can give you. And helping spread the word. So some of you guys were wondering, or asking me, how can we get the word out? You know, you're new. I just followed you. Like, where the heck are you from? Backstory. The best way to do that and get the word out for the exposure purposes is to just share the content. So whether it be your Facebook page, whether it be your Twitter account, whether it be on Instagram, whether it be on TikTok. I don't know if you can do that on TikTok. Snapchat. Who uses Snapchat anymore? Maybe just for the filters. But you can do that. James Cho says, the running game, are we not running it enough? The Titans have the second worst run defense. We drafted Zeus White. Haven't seen much field time. We don't run it in the red zone, and we are carrying 5 running backs. Yeah, you know, that's a great question. Ultimately, I talked about this on Raider Nation Radio. I said, look, the play calling is dictated by the coverage that's being shown. And why Zeus White is not being used, that is above my pay grade. I'm not going to speculate on that. Do I think that Zeus White needs to be used more? Yes, absolutely. Because in order for us to know what we have in Zeus White and to know what we have in our future, we have to know if Zeus White can, what he can and cannot do, right? We can't take this Trey Sermon approach with the San Francisco 49ers and then hope it's not going to work out. So at some point, we're going to have to see some Zeus White, because let's be honest, is Josh Jacobs coming back in 2023? They declined his fifth-year option for a reason. So again, that's not the Patriot way. It's obviously not the Raider way. You can find running back. There's a reason why they drafted him in the 4th round, Zeus White. So I think he's the future. The dominant Zeus White, who described his game in one word when I asked him to do that, he said dominant. So dominant Zeus White. I want to see more carries and more production from him and playing time from him. I do love Josh Jacobs. I think the guy is a great player, true professional, both on and off the football field. Look, he needs to get his touches too. So the guy needs to eat just as well. So I really hope that Coach McDaniels, and again, this is above my pay grade. There's a reason why Coach McDaniels makes millions and millions of dollars, and I make not even that in a lifetime, probably. Not even one. But no, you guys get the picture. It's above my pay grade. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm not going to challenge how the usage should be used, because that's not my thing. I will say this. I will say, in order for us to know what we have, or the team to have in Zeus White, I think we have to give him a better sample size to pull from. Thank you, my man Dennis, for the super chat and super sticker. I appreciate the love, man. He's Raider Nation for life, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love, and it really means a lot. Like I said, man, all the super chat and super stickers get funneled back into you guys. So this is just for me to put in my piggy bank, if you will, and I'm going to save this money so I can go on some of these road trips. I think that would be a really cool thing for us in the Dark Side of BEASTwriter family, is for me to go and travel. And again, I'm part of the Sporting Tribune. If you guys haven't known, I got picked up by Arash Markazi from the Sporting Tribune. So again, if you guys haven't heard the news or are not on Twitter, I am also working for the Sporting Tribune as an independent contractor. So what I like to do and what I want to do is I want to go on some of these road games if possible. Obviously, I still have to apply for credentials, and we have to see where that goes. But if I do get approved on some of these games, I would like to go and cover it. And then again, like any money left over gets funneled back into you guys, where I can run cool giveaways at the end of the year as a thank you. So again, it's just for me to cover the team. And so I think, let's face it, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, you guys wouldn't be supporting it anyway. So obviously I know you guys like the content and like what I wanted to provide. So imagine me doing this, but from LA, or going down to Kansas City, or going down, you know what I mean? That'd be dope. I've never seen Kansas City. I talked to Peter King about it. You guys know who Peter King is, right? The Monday morning quarterback guy, NBC Sports. Anyways, talked to Peter King when he was down here, and he's like, man, if there's one stadium you need to check out, you need to check out Kansas City. I said, really? He's like, yeah. It's like, Nacho, yeah, you need to check out Kansas City and Green Bay if you can. So I mean, like I said, man, it'd be really cool. I've never been to Kansas City, never been to Green Bay, never been to Denver, never been to, San Diego, obviously San Diego, but LA Chargers. Been down to LA quite a few times, being from the Bay, but living in California. But no, it'd be really cool for me to travel on some of these games and hopefully can get credentialed and cover these games, because I mean that's my passion, man. All I want to do is provide you guys the best content ever, and it would really do me a solid in helping field some of this some of the fun, so I can go ahead and do that. So thank you so much. I appreciate Daniel Kim for the super chat. Appreciate the love, my man. He said, for the Beast trips. Thank you. And someone said I should start a GoFundMe years ago, and I was like, man, that's too much work. I don't know how to start a GoFundMe. I don't know how this thing works. I don't know how I have no idea. I know what GoFundMe is. I did some research on it. I was like, man, that looks like too much work. So I was like, I have YouTube to do this. I have YouTube to help me out with the super chat and super stickers. No, but Daniel Kim, thank you so much. And Daniel Kim, for those who don't know, he's one of our moderators. So he's going to be making sure that everything's in line and doing, everybody's behaving well. No, everyone behaves well in here, but we do have some of those trolls in here. Daniel, you know about these trolls, and it's good to have my guy, What's Up G, Daniel Kim, and some of these other guys modding. And if you guys want to mod my channel, as well, send me a DM or reach out to me. Dennis, if you want to mod to my channel, I would definitely give you rights to do so. I trust you. So go ahead and reach out to me if you want to be a mod, and you can mod my live streams as well. Thank you so much for James Cho for the super chat. Appreciate it. He says, for the Beast Hustle. Thank you, man. It means a lot. And like I said, man, I wouldn't be here without you guys in my corner, honestly. So we're going to be launching. And again, there's a lot of cool things that I do. I kind of keep it under wraps. But then once it's done, it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? Well, here we got going on, right? So I am saving money, and put some money aside already from all the super chat and super stickers, where I'm going to make my DOB swag. And I've done this for the 49ers. I've done this when I covered multitude of different teams, Steelers, you name it. So obviously it's my own company, it's my own brand. So I have the Dark Side of BEASTwriter. You see the logo right here. It's football and fitness is what we do. So I am going to be launching our DOB swag, and I'll be running giveaways for anyone who subscribes to the channel, who supports me and does all these different things. And I'll run cool giveaways for all you guys. So we are launching sweatshirts, we are launching t-shirts, we are launching beanies, we are launching hats, and it's all made and designed in the US. And I'm all about quality. I never skimp on quality. So you're not getting the cheap stuff. You're getting real premium cotton, or in this case, it'd be polyester cotton, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and of course, you'll get the new era kind of standard hat. And yeah, I'm all about the quality. I'm all about the quality because my name's tied to it. I want it to look slick. I want it to look clean. So if you guys want to purchase and support the DOB that way as well and get something in return, I can go ahead and do that. And I also write a personal message on the box that I'm delivering, or in this case in point, the care package. So again, thank you so much, everyone. You guys have been so kind to me. And I wouldn't be here without you guys in my corner. So I just want to give a shout out. I got to hit up the gym in a little bit. But let me just go ahead and give us some shout outs to Dennis. Thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you, Daniel Kim, for the super chat and super sticker. Appreciate it. Thank you, James Cho, for the super chat and super sticker. Really means a lot. And also Kevin Lurker coming in late with the 2-minute drill. Thank you so much, Kevin Lurker. I appreciate the love, man. Again, you guys have all been commenting on my stuff. I see it and I know who you guys are, which is kind of crazy because of all the millions and millions of people following. I'm joking. It's like all the 2 people that follow me. No, I have more than that, but you guys get the picture. No, I definitely respond to every single comment. And I mean, I respond to every single comment. Like I'll be sitting at the dinner table and will literally run out of battery because obviously I don't know why I don't charge my phone all that much. I don't. It's not because I'm popular. And, oh, you got so many. No, I really don't. I get like 2 notifications a day. But I do check YouTube, and I get a lot of the comments. And you guys know, just go on every single video. I comment to every single video, and I love doing that. And the reason why I love doing that is because I always wanted, as a fan growing up, when I used to root for the San Francisco 49ers, which I still root for. I was one of those guys that, kids, I was like, man, I wish I could do that for a job, number one. And number 2, I was like, man, I wish if I, because back then, I forgot who the guy's name was. I was so young back then. Maybe it was this guy. I was like, back then there was no internet. And I was like, man, I wonder what his thoughts are, right? And back then there was no such thing as YouTube or anything like that. So it's not like you'd probably have to write like a letter, like snail mail, and send it in. I was like, man, I ain't gonna do that. I have to find the address. Where are you gonna find the address? You have to look through the yellow pages or... That's how old I am. No, but I always wanted gosh, I forgot his name. Anyways, I wanted to get to know that guy. Like I was like, I wanted to get his thoughts, right? Not to get to know him, but I wanted to get his thoughts. I was like, man, I wish I could write this guy. And luckily for YouTube, we have that option. So now I want to just kind of pay it forward because you guys follow me. And if you guys ask me a question, I'm going to respond to you. I'm not going to be like, oh, swipe left, man. I don't have time for you. It's like, nah, man, like you really need to take time for the people who make time for you. So I thank my parents for raising me the right way, doing the right thing, and really, and still to this day, man, they will tell me like, hey, you didn't respond to that comment on YouTube to Kevin, and I'd be like, oh man, I ain't get. Well, you better stop what you're doing and respond because that's rude if you don't respond to that. I was like, Mom, I'll respond. So it's just one of those things where now it's kind of surreal. People ask me, about this quote unquote dream job, and it is a dream job in a sense that, it's something that I kind of fell into by accident. And people are asking me how you break into the NFL media and how do you how did I get to this point, right? And again, it's still fluid, right? I'm still learning things every single day, and it comes down to the 6-point star, right? You guys know that I have my own company called Bayer Rooted, which is a clothing line in itself, which is everything's made and designed in the U.S. But we talk about the 6-point star and what that means, and that's why in the DOB right here, the logo, you see a 6-point star, right? And so the 6-point stars are the 6 things that I embody, which is trust, integrity, honor, unity, respect, loyalty, right? So those are the 6 things that I embody. And if you have those 6 things, I think you're trending in the right direction. If you're missing one of those things, you better get that cleaned up. And so I think that's the first and foremost thing is, have integrity, have trust, and always do the right thing, right? Like if you know something's wrong, why put yourself in a compromised situation? Like there's nothing good that can come from that. So do the right thing, have integrity, and everything will be okay. That's the first and foremost thing. But anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat and super sticker. OKC Raider, thank you so much. It's been fun times here. And OKC Raider 405, I hope I answered your questions. I know everyone has questions in regards to, is this Derek Carr's fault? And again, I like Derek Carr. I know some people don't like Derek Carr, but I like Derek Carr. In fact, I had one of my first, before I let you guys go, one of my first conversations, actually my very first and only conversation actually with Derek Carr, was I was in the locker room and I was just like minding my own business, because I wanted to leave Derek Carr and, he's doing his own thing. So I don't like to, you don't want to bother the players, right? Like that's just, you don't do that. And so he actually came to me. He's like, because I wear my San Diego State. I was like, hey, you went to San Diego? I was like, yeah. And so we started talking about San Diego State and he was like naming players like, oh, they had that guy named Ronnie Hillman from, he played for San Diego State. It's like, oh yeah, he played for he's like Denver Broncos. He's like, yeah. He was just naming players. I was like, man, this guy is like an open book. Like this guy knows I was just so impressed by the knowledge of like him name dropping players. But you got in mind, I'm older than Derek Carr. So I was like, man, when I went to school, I told him, when I went to school, we weren't very good. Like it was like other people's homecoming for us. And so it was funny because he was like, oh no, yeah, but you guys had this player, you guys had that player. And then we were talking about Leroy Glover. And it was just ridiculous, like how much information this guy knew. But anyways, everyone's writing Derek Carr. It's not Derek Carr's fault. Football is a team sport. Like if he threw 7 interceptions in the game, yes, it's Derek Carr's fault. But it's not like, my gosh, like everyone's blaming Derek Carr, and it's just like, nah, man, he's not the scapegoat here. Like let's take a step back and then pull a bigger sample size once the bye week rolls. Once the bye week rolls, then we can kind of formulate, okay, well, he's struggling here, he's struggling there. For the 3rd game in a row, like someone's going to put up some stat. 3rd game in a row, Derek Carr. He may have threw for 300 yards, but he gave up this many air yards. The stats that are coming out is hilarious. I don't know. I just think it's hilarious. But thank you, OKC Raider 405. For the super chat, super chat. Yeah, Dennis says Yellow Pages. Yeah, dude, that's how old I am, man. I'm as old as the Yellow Pages. In fact, I'm as old as when beepers were out, or pagers, if you will. You guys remember pagers? We all remember that. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys liked what I had to say. If you did, please give it a share. Again, once this live stream concludes, you guys can go back and rewatch it, even though it's not in real time. And you can also donate. So any video that I put up that's not a live stream and you would like to donate, I'll be putting up like player coach interviews. There is a money icon there and you guys can donate there. And again, like I said, everything gets funneled back in the DOB. I'm just putting that money aside for all of us. And so that way I can go to the road games and any money extra will be funneled back into you guys with our DOB swag, running cool Raider giveaways and so forth. Because again, without you guys in my corner, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you so much. This is a cool Pick 6 live stream. I hope you had fun. I know I did. Stay tuned tomorrow. Might do another Pick 6 live stream as we do a watch party as we watch who plays tomorrow. I forgot who plays tomorrow. Anyways, 2 teams play tomorrow. I'm drawing a brain fart. I don't know who plays tomorrow. The Thursday night football game. How come I don't know that? I should know this. Who plays tomorrow? Does anyone know who plays tomorrow? Now it's bothering me. I got to look up who plays tomorrow. Dennis says, do you remember the book catalog at the? I do. Wow. We are old, man. If you remember that, we are old. Book catalogs. Do you remember Scholastic? I don't know if you guys had that. I know I did in the Bay Area. Do you guys remember Scholastic News? I love Scholastic News. I remember looking forward to Scholastic News and buying the little sports books, the little mini ones. D Menace says Bengals and Dolphins. That's right. How could I forget the Bengals and Dolphins? The Bengals are wearing the white. I just made up a new term. The white uniforms. They're wearing the white uniforms. It's the alternate white uniforms. I don't know why it came with white uniforms. I think I just came up with the term though. They're wearing their white uniforms and they look dope. Like those white uniforms look dope. How it's going to translate onto the football field, I don't know. All I know is those white uniforms look fresh and clean. Are they better than the Raiders uniforms? Heck no. The silver and black will always reign supreme. But hey, I got to give it up to Cincinnati Bengals. They'll be rocking those white uniforms. I can't wait to see it in action as the Bengals take on the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa, who is on the verge and on a tear for you fantasy football owners. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. I hope you guys had fun. I know I did. Stay tuned for the next one as we keep it hot here in the DOB family. One live stream at a time. Stay tuned. Have a good day. BEASTwriter out.